What's up guys, SAG here and welcome to another video here on the channel. I'm your host here, Christopher Smithies. It's another episode of NBA Spread Talk. We got October 21st, a new day, new money, man. We got a bunch of games. We got 11 games on the slate. Let's just quickly recap yesterday. Only 2 games on the docket. I had an average pick and an avoid pick. On the avoid pick, I took the 76ers -4. 76ers lost the game outright by 2 points. Credit to Milwaukee for playing really well in that game. And then in the other one, the Clippers were -5.5. If you got earlier, would have got -4 against the Lakers. And the Clippers barely covered in that one. I had them as an average pick, and they covered 103-97. So in total, in our money picks, I believe we are 4-1-1, and our average picks were 5-2, and in the avoid picks were 2-1. Early days, we're making some cash. Let's go, guys. Let's get this money. NBA Spread Talk, we here. Okay? So let's start off right away. First game, we have the New Orleans Pelicans traveling to Charlotte to take on the Hornets. Tea time of 7 p.m. The Pelicans are 6.5-point favorites. Now, the Pelicans, they beat up on the Nets. They beat them badly. We had the Pelicans on our show 2 days ago, and, man, they cashed for us. Thanks to the Pelicans, man. Y'all got my heart, man. Y'all got my heart. That's a messed up heart, but you get what I'm saying. The Hornets, they were 2-point favorites against San Antonio Spurs, and they blew the Spurs out of the water. So 2 blowouts. One was on the road, and both were on the road in their openers on the season. Now the Pelicans are 11-3 in their last 14 Friday games. 15-7 against spread in their last 22 on the road, and 3-7 against spread in their last 10 when their opponent scores 100 points or more in the previous game. Hornets are 4-1 ATS after scoring more than 125 points game prior, and 5-2 in their last 7 following up a win of 10 or more points, and 7-3 in their last 10 following an ATS win. LaMelo Ball's out. Cody Martin is doubtful. Jackson Hayes is questionable. EJ Liddell and Kyra Lewis Jr. are out. In this game, guys, I actually like the Hornets to cover here. I think this number is really high. Again, people are riding high on the Pelicans, and they are actually a really great team. Let's call a spade a spade. They look great. Zion Williamson looks great. Ingram looks great. CJ McCollum looks great. And they could truly blow the Hornets out of the water. But the Hornets at home are actually a really good team, whether they have LaMelo Ball or not. They're still a pretty solid team. Terry Rozier looked great. Gordon Hayward looked pretty good. And P.J. Washington looked like themselves against the Spurs team. They played pretty well. So in this one, to me, the number is a bit too high. But I don't even fully trust the Hornets enough. But this number is so high, I'm going to make this an average pick. Hornets plus 6.5. Next up, we have the San Antonio Spurs taking on the Indiana Pacers. Pacers are -3 with a tea time of 7 p.m. Now, the San Antonio Spurs, they got blown out the water. I mean, they got blown out. They don't look good, to say the least, by the Charlotte Hornets, who we talked about before. At home, you can't, man, if you lose in your home opener like that, man, it's not looking good. The tank for Wembanyama continues. Now, the Pacers, they played a pretty competitive game against Washington. They went down early, but they competed, they fought, but then they just couldn't pull through. They ended up losing by 7, and Washington ended up winning and covering the spread. We had a money pick on that, Washington -2. If you were smart, you would have got then as a pick 'em, so you would have easily won that one. But it was close. Credit to the Pacers for competing, and they look pretty decent. The Spurs are 7-1 against the spread in their last 8 overall, 4-1 following a straight-up loss, and 8-0 when their opponent allows 100 or more in the previous game. Now the Pacers are 5-2 in their last 7 overall, 5-2 in their last 7 following a straight-up loss, and 6-14 in their last 20 at home. Now, on injury report, Aaron Naismith is questionable, so is Jalen Smith. That's pretty important. And the biggest news, really, to me, is Miles Turner is out. This could be a reason why this number is where it is. And I thought about maybe Miles Turner makes a huge difference, but I just think the Spurs are this bad. They're not a good team, and this Pacers team is at home. They're going to want to respond after that Wizards game, and the Spurs are the perfect punching bag for this. Because the Pacers, they got some guys. I really love the Pacers here. They got Tyrese Halliburton. Buddy Hield looked absolutely fantastic. They can get Frank Jackson to slot in that center position to match up with Poto. So the Spurs, they don't really have the guy to take advantage of Turner being out. They also got, Benedict Mathurin looks absolutely fantastic for the Pacers. Now you get Daniel Tice back with decent center presence. Man, I think this all sets up for a Pacers win and cover. At home, the Pacers play a lot better. I think this Pacers team is playing with the energy. Tyrese Halliburton's the real deal, and the Spurs don't have the stars to match it. Guys, I got a money pick on this one. I'm taking the Pacers -3. Next up, we have the Chicago Bulls traveling to Washington to take on the Washington Wizards. Wizards are 1.5-point favorites, tea time at 7 p.m. Now, crest of the Bulls, they went to play in Miami without Zach LaVine or Lonzo, and they got the job done. They absolutely dominated the game. Great performance from DeMar DeRozan, Alex Caruso. Desimu looks fantastic, and Nikola Vucevic. While the Wizards, they traveled to Indiana and got the job done. Beal and Porzingis look really good, and they got I believe it was a 114-107 win, and they covered the spread out. It turned into a pick'em late, as I mentioned. The Bulls, they're 5-1 against spread in their last 6 on the road, 9-19 in their last 28, 7-15 when their opponent allows 100 or more points in the previous game. Now the Wizards, they're 7-19 in their last 26 on one day's rest. They're 4-11 in their last 15 following a win, ATS. And Wizards, they're also 6-20 in their last 26 following a straight up win. Now in this one, Zach LaVine's still out, so is Lonzo Ball. For the Wizards, Denny Avdija, I'm sorry I misspelled your name. He's actually a pretty good player. Vernon Casey Jr. are questionable. Well, Corey Kispert, the Gonzaga product, is out. On this one, I'm not for sure, but I think that he just laid an egg when they played the Bulls. I mean, Bam Adebayo had one of the worst games of his life, missing bunnies at the rim. He looked horrible when he played for the Heat. And I think the Wizards look pretty good. They played pretty well against Indiana, had a solid showing. Now they come at home. They have their home opener. And this Bulls team, don't get it twisted. Without Lonzo and LaVine, this is still a different team. They're a bit exposed defensively. Guys, I'm kind of on the edge in this one, but I lean towards the Wizards here. I really like the Wizards in the average pick here at -1.5. They got Porzingis, they got Beal. They have the more talent, and they're at home. So I'm going to take the Wizards -1.5. As an average pick, by the way, guys. Next up here, we have the Magic going up against the Hawks. The Hawks are 8.5-point favorites. Now, the Magic, they lost to Detroit by 4. Barely didn't cover. They played pretty decent, but Detroit's talent just pulled out in the end. Go Pistons. You already know. Got the hat up there. And the Hawks, they're 8.5-point favorites in this one. They beat Houston pretty handily. It was pretty close to the cover. They won by 10. And the line was around that. So if you got at 9.5, man, you're lucky. You got the win. If you got a 10, yeah, you only got your money back. So that's the difference. That's why every point matters. Guys, that's why you got to have multiple sports books to pick the best number. Now, the Magic, they're 4-1 against spread in their last 5 against the team with a winning record. 3-7 in their last 10 following a loss. And 4-10 in their last 14 overall. Now, the Hawks are 5-2 in their last 7 home games. 2-5. In their last 7 home games against a team with a losing record, and 5-16 ATS in their last 21 following a straight-up win. Now, Bogdan Bogdanovic is out. Cole Anthony is questionable, and the 4 guys for Orlando are still out. Markelle Fultz, Gary Harris, Jonathan Isaac, and Moritz Wagner. And I think that really makes a big difference. The Pistons, they struggled early against the Magic, but I think the Hawks won't have similar struggles. They're a really talented team with Trae Young, DeJounte Murray, and John Collins. I do think they blow this Magic team out of the water. I can't make it a money pick because they struggled against Houston last time, and sometimes Trae Young struggles to get up for these games against bad teams. And let's just say the Magic are a bad team. So, guys, I think it could be close, but I think the Hawks pull out near the end. The Magic are going to get worn out. They got a lot of guys out. They're a bit thin right now. And the Hawks are a really solid team. Their stars are going to prevail, guys. I got the Hawks -8.5, and I'm making it an average pick. Next up, we have the Toronto Raptors laying 2.5-point underdogs going to Brooklyn to take on the Nets. Now, the Raptors ended up playing the Cleveland Cavaliers, and they came out with a win. Again, Boucher and Birch didn't play now. Otto Porter Jr. I think a big difference really there was that eye injury that Darius Garland suffered, I believe, mid-game. When the Cleveland lost their true point guard, the Raptors really pressured the ball, and they did a really good job of it, forcing a lot of turnovers and coming out with the win. We had Cleveland plus the 3. We ended up getting a push on that one. Probably should have won that, but it was just unfortunate in that one. Now, the Nets, they got blown out of the water by the Pelicans. I mean, they looked disorganized. They looked really bad. Simmons, Kyrie, and Katie didn't look like they were fitting together, and they just looked bad. Now, the Raptors, they're 4-0 against the spread in their last 4 versus a team with a winning percentage lower than 400. 5-2 in their last 7 road games with a team against a team with a losing home record. And 38-16 against the spread in their last 54, allowing 100 or more in their previous game. Now, the Nets, they're 3-1-2 against the spread in their last 6, following a double-digit loss at home. 3-1-1 in their last 5, following a straight-up loss of more than 10 points, and 18-7-1 in their last 26 after allowing more than 125 points in their previous game. They're very good at responding after a big loss. Now, injury-wise, Joe Harris is probable. He's going to come back. That's a key addition. They need as many shooters as you can get. They need the depth. T.J. Warren, though, and Seth Curry are both out for this one. Ken Burch and Chris Boucher are questionable, while Otto Porter Jr. will not play in this game. Guys, I like the Nets to respond here. The Raptors have had a bad history of playing in Brooklyn. They're not really good. Kevin Durant still looks like himself. Kyrie still looks like a great player. Ben Simmons, he'll get it going. And now you add Joe Harris to the mix. You have a solid shooter. This just seems like a trap game spot. The Raptors have a tough time going to Brooklyn and playing in Brooklyn. And I think the talent of Brooklyn really prevails here at the Barclays Center. Guys, not much science to this. I can't really pick a side for sure here because Seth Curry and T.J. Warren are out. That's big. That's some big losses. But Kevin Durant, you can't put him down for so long, and neither can you put Kyrie down, guys. They're both really good players, and for this one, I like the Nets minus 2.5 as an average pick. Next up, we have the Boston Celtics going to play the Miami Heat. Now, the Celtics, they came off a big win against the 76ers. They absolutely dominated in that game. And the Heat, they got dominated by the Bulls. They looked horrible. Bam Adebayo played one of the worst games I've ever seen. They just did not look like themselves. Now, the Celtics are 7-2 in their last 9 after scoring more than 125 in their previous game. They're 26-1 in their last 27 road games. 8-3 in their last 11 playing on 2 days rest. While the Heat, they're 7-2 in their last 9 following an ATS loss, 6-2 in their last 8 following a straight-up loss, and 1-4 in their last 5 overall. For injuries, not much has changed. Victor Oladipo out for the Heat, while for the Celtics, Robert Williams III and Danilo Gallinari are both out for this one. For this one, guys, I like the Heat to win to cover here, the plus 2.5. This is going to be a response game for the Heat. You can't put this team down for long. The Celtics coming off a high, the Heat coming off a low. Look for Tyler Hero and Kyle Lowry to have fantastic games. The Heat just have a really good team. Bam Adebayo is not going to play as bad as he did last time. This will be a wake-up call for Bam Adebayo. And without Robert Williams III, who really is going to guard him? Al Horford? I mean, Bam Adebayo has the tools to get it done. He has his shooters around him. I think the Heat just really have the depth with Duncan Robinson, Max Strus. They got a really talented squad. And I think this is going to be a letdown game for the Celtics coming off that high of Philadelphia. This is going to be a really good matchup, guys. I definitely can't make this a money pick because I don't trust the Heat fully. But I'm going to take an average pick here. I'm taking the Heat here, plus 2.5. Next up, we have the Pistons going up against the Knicks. Knicks are 6.5-point favorites in this one. Now, the Pistons, they came off a win against the Magic, a comeback win. They struggled at the start, and they started to pull through. Caden Jaden Ivey had fantastic games. Bojan Bogdanovic led the team in scoring. And Isaiah Stewart hit that winning 3 near the end. Now for the Knicks, they took the Grizzlies to overtime. Credit to Cam Reddish for tying the game, but they ended up falling to the Grizzlies. But Creston, they really fought, and I believe they covered the game. I'm not for sure. But credit to the Knicks, man. Yes, they did cover the game. I remember I had it as an avoid pick, plus 6.5. And they played pretty well against the Grizzlies. They fought on the road, and but they ended up losing that one. Now, the Pistons are 9-2 in their last 11 following a straight-up win against the spread. They're 4-1 ATS following an ATS win, and 20-6 in their last 26 overall against the spread. That's a pretty good record. Now, the Knicks are 4-1 in their last 5 overall against the spread, and 4-1 in their last 5 when an opponent allows 100 or more in their previous game. And the Knicks are 4-1 ATS in their last 5 Friday games. Now, not much has changed on their injury reports. Marvin Bagley, Alec Burks, and Isaiah Livers are both all out, while Quentin Grimes is out for the Knicks. And this one, guys, I love the Pistons to cover here. You get 2 possessions with the Pistons. The Pistons are going to remember in the preseason when they got blown out by the Knicks. They got blown out of the water. Now, while this Knicks team looks really good, they're not this good. They're not 2 possessions good. Look, the Pistons have the talent to match the Knicks. They got Jaden Ivey, Cade Cunningham, Isaiah Stewart. I get this is on the road and it's Madison Square home opener. Momentum might be with the Knicks. But the Pistons have the guys to match. They got Bogdanovich who can shoot the 3, Sadiq Bey. They got all the pieces to get it done. And this is a newly motivated Pistons team that's here to make a point. The Knicks, they just fought hard. They're going to be worn out. They played a tough game against Memphis. They gave it their all. And they probably are going to overlook this Pistons team. But this Pistons team is the real deal. Man, I really love the Pistons to cover here. They've been cover machines. I think they're going to do it again here. Guys, give me the Pistons as a money pick. I'm taking them plus 6.5. Next up, we have the Memphis Grizzlies heading to the road to take on the Houston Rockets. Now, the Rockets obviously have Jalen Green. This line was actually at 5. A lot of money on Houston. I think about covers.com shows 73% of the money was on, a lot of money on Memphis. 73% of the money was on Memphis. That's quite something. Memphis coming off a win against New York in overtime. Pretty solid. They might be a bit worn out. The Rockets losing to the Hawks by 10. Still pretty solid performance from the Rockets, but a tough loss overall. Now, the Grizzlies, they're 9-3 ATS in their last 12 versus a team with a winning percentage below 400. They're 19-17 versus a team with a losing straight-up record, and 36-16-1 in their last 53 allowing against team after allowing 100 points or more in their previous game. They're 35-16 when playing on 1 day's rest. Now, the Rockets are 4-1 in their last 5 overall against the spread, and 4-1 in their last 5 after allowing 100 points or more in the previous game. And the Rockets are also 4-1 in their last 5 when their opponent allows 100 or more points in the previous game. Now, for the Rockets, Jayshawn Tate is out, and for the Memphis Grizzlies, the usuals are out. Zaire Williams, Danny Green, and Jaren Jackson Jr. But Dillon Brooks is doubtful. There's a shot he could play here, and my fantasy team hopes he can play too. That's all I gotta say. For this one, it's kind of weird. You got Memphis coming off a tough overtime game, heading to Houston, but Houston's not really that good. I still think my heart tells me that John Morant can just blow this game up and just tear the Houston Rockets to shreds. The difference between the Rockets and the Knicks is the Knicks, they got their new additions. They're playing with heart. The Rockets still are a rebuilding team. They're still not that good. And it showed against Atlanta. Guys, I think Memphis is going to come out here and beat them up. This is a home opener, but are the Rockets that motivated? They're still a rebuilding team, and I think it's going to show here, guys. I'm not for sure about this one because still Dillon Brooks is doubtful. It would be nice to have him in the lineup. But in this one, I'm taking Memphis -6 as an average pick. Next up, we have the Utah Jazz heading to Minnesota to take on the Timberwolves. Timberwolves are -8.5. This is an 8 p.m. tip-off time. Now, the Jazz, they're 5-15-2 ATS in their last 22 when their opponent scores 100 points or more in the previous game. They're also 6-20-1 in their last 27 Friday games and 6-20-1 in their last 27 road games. Crest of the Jazz, they blew out the Nuggets. They blew them out badly. Quite the win. Now, the Timberwolves are 1-4 ATS in their last 5 games playing on 1 day's rest, and 1-5 in their last 6 following an ATS loss, and 1-6 in their last 7 home games ATS. No injuries for this one. Everyone's ready to go. Crest of the Timberwolves, they played really well against the Thunder, but they ended up not covering. They let the Thunder come back a bit late. I had the Thunder as an average pick there. But the tandem of Rudy Gobert and Towns looks pretty good. Towns, he looks great passing the ball. I have to give it credit. And the Jazz are coming off a huge win. Sexton played a great game. But, man, they can't stop Rudy Gobert and Towns. Lauri Markkanen will not get the job done. It's not like you can't just have him at that center position. And Rudy Gobert is going to have a day against his former team. Guys, I love Minnesota winning the cover. Just because Utah had one amazing game against Denver doesn't mean they're all that. Just like Denver isn't a trash team. Guys, I really love the Timberwolves here. Love it. They didn't cover against the Thunder. They slacked a bit. The coach is going to remember that. He's going to tell them, guys, we slacked on this one. And they're going to come, man, swinging. You got Russell. You got Edwards. You got Norwell. You got Prince. You got Gobert and Towns. Man, these guys are going to be up for this game at home. Guys, give me Minnesota minus 8.5 as a money pick. I really love this game. Next up, we have the Nuggets taking on the Warriors. Warriors are 5.5-point favorites. Now, the Nuggets are 8-3 in their last 11 road games versus a team with a winning record. 2-5 in their last 7 overall, and 2-5 against after allowing 100 points or more in their last game. Now, the Warriors are 11-2-1 against the spread in their last 14 Friday games. They were cover machines last year. 4-1 ATS in the last 5 after allowing 100 points, and 4-1 ATS in their last 5 home games versus a team with a losing record. This one, Jokic is probable, so he's probably going to play. Jamal Murray's questionable. Guys, watch this injury report. This is close. And Patrick Baldwin Jr. is out. This is an avoid pick because I don't know if Jamal Murray is going to play. If Jamal Murray doesn't play, the Warriors are going to win in the cover this. But for now, assuming Jamal Murray is going to play, but I'm going to keep it as an avoid pick because I don't know for sure if the Nuggets are the real deal. I like the Nuggets to cover the 5.5. I think they're a really talented team with Michael Porter Jr., Jokic, Murray. They have the talent to keep the Warriors in it, and the Warriors really beat up on the Lakers. All that energy was spent on ring night. This could be a setback game. This is going to be a great game, though, on ESPN. I hope you all enjoy watching this. But for this one, I'm taking my hands off this game. It's my only avoid pick of the night. I'm taking the Nuggets plus 5.5. I know a lot of people love the Nuggets in this one. Next up, we have the Suns taking on the Trailblazers. Suns are -4 here, and the Suns come off of a comeback win against against Dallas. Credits to Damian Lee, man, hitting that game-winning shot. He looked fantastic. Booker and Aiden leading the way with the scoring. Taking on a Trailblazers team that got it done against Sacramento. And Damian Lillard had a really bad game. He did not play well. But Anthony Simmons, Jeremy Grant, Shane Sharp, this team looks really good. I got to give the Trailblazers credit. Suns are -4 in this one, 4-point favorites. Portland's at home. Now, the Suns are 5-2 in their last 7 following an ATS loss. They didn't cover against Dallas. They're 18-8 in their last 26 Friday games and 1-4 ATS after allowing 100 points or more in their previous game. The Trailblazers are 6-18 in their last 24 overall, 5-17 in their last 22 when their opponent allows 100 points or more, and 1-4 in their last 5 Friday games. Now, Shamet and Crowder are out for this one, while Gary Payne II is out on this one. For this one, guys, I got to show my respects to Portland. They look like a great team that can compete, and I think the fact that they could get it done in Sacramento without Damian Lillard even playing a good game, he barely hit any threes. I mean, that was quite something to behold. I gotta give credit. We had Portland in a money pick, and they ended up getting the job done, making a huge comeback. And I think they really keep it close with the Phoenix Suns in this one. I think Phoenix is a really good team, but they're still a bit thin on the bench, and Portland's bench will outscore Phoenix's bench badly. This Shane Sharp kid looks like the real deal. So for this one, I really think this is going to be close. I think Portland can even pull out a win here. This could be a setback game for Phoenix after that crazy comeback against Dallas. But it's not a big enough spread for me. I think 4 is a number I'm like, I don't know. So I'm going to take Portland as an average pick. But rather be safe than sorry. I'm taking Portland plus the 4 as an average pick. So let's do a quick recap here. My money picks. Sorry, I'll start with the avoid. The one avoid pick: Nuggets plus 5.5. Average picks: Hornets plus 6.5. Nets minus 2.5. Wizards minus 1.5. Heat plus 2.5. Grizzlies minus 6. Hawks minus 8.5. And Trailblazers plus 4. And our 3 money picks today: we got the Pistons plus 6.5. Pacers minus 3. Timberwolves minus 8.5. I'm Christopher Smithies, guys. Let's get some cash. If you enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe. And guys, check out the article I made for the game tonight. I always do game of the day on my website for an article preview. I'm doing the Suns Blazers for tonight. I hope you all enjoyed this episode. Let's get some cash, guys. We're winning, and we're going to keep winning. Hey, ride the wave, guys. Let's go. NBA Spread Talk, we up.